All right. Hello. Welcome to the Phalanx. Oh, I forgot to mute myself. I think I did this week 1 too. Anyways, welcome to the week 1 recap for the Phalanx division. We have a lot of good matches again this week. And we have a handful of matches I haven't actually even watched. So, looking forward to this. We're going to be joined by Spamdolf a little bit further in to the stream. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the first matchup of Voids versus Amlodude. I think Voids has like maybe a slight advantage, but Perish Trap is really good into Void's team, unless he's running U-turn and Volt Switch, so that I could easily see that destroying him. But otherwise, like, how is Cali used here is a big question. Also, Dialga is pretty good here. Tailwind for Ivy Cudgel, which doesn't do a ton, which is unfortunate. And Sub comes up, which is interesting. And then Flash Cannon. Okay, you live at 1. Protecting Talonflame is bad call here. Protecting makes sense there, just because that way you get a free kill off. Protect on Talonflame doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Taunting them is interesting. I think he's probably going for an attack now that he can. And yeah, it's just a double up on Palkia, and Palkia dies, and Talonflame is feeling pretty useless right now. Calyrex is out, but can't do a whole lot. Probably forced a Terra here. Yeah. Another taunt. I think Talonflame probably just doesn't have any attacking moves, but still, that's unfortunate. And the Earth Power is really unfortunate. Cali. Tailwind comes back out, just so you can outspeed and get a kill. But now probably an Earth Power from Dialga here, and you die. Yep. Okay, Dialga's just putting in work, and Talonflame feels incredibly useless this game. Probably just doesn't want to reveal information. You don't reveal if you have an attacking move or not, but probably just doesn't have a attacking move. So yeah, that was a very fast game 1. Dang. I think Void's played pretty passive. If you have Talonflame, you're gonna have to make them do something other than just like click Taunt and Tailwind. Protect was bad when he clicked it too. Ogerpon needs sturdy, or this one does, especially in this matchup. So I'm glad I mean, of course he has to run sturdy, but it meant that you had a potential to do more with it. But he just didn't really. So felt very unfortunate for Voids there. Game 2. Hopefully this goes better for Voids, but gotta adapt. I think, yeah, Parashap is definitely something to watch out for. U-turn would be huge if he has it on Ogerpon. Follow Me does not. I would expect a Perish Song here for sure, so Follow Me doesn't make sense. You get off like a free giant chunk of damage with Ivy Cudgel. And the Encore is unfortunate, because even if you have U-turn, you can't use it anymore. And Talonflame is also trapped here. He can probably just... I was expecting a double protect, but the Encore makes sense. A switch and probably protect. Yep, makes a lot of sense. Follow Me, and Tailwind doesn't matter a whole lot when you're gonna die. And so he's able to switch for free, and that's just 2 deaths. The Encore there was really rough too, because you're not really doing anything with that Follow Me. So and now you're completely on the back foot here, and if he gets off another Perish Song, which he almost definitely will, then it's just game over on the spot. He goes for Protect, which is nice because you're expecting a double up, which does actually happen. Terra Fire is nice for the Sacred Fire, but now you're kind of susceptible to whatever he throws at you, like an Earthquake or something like that. We probably wouldn't go for Earthquake next to Dialga, but... Life Dew, ooh, that's really unfortunate when you're hitting everything for neutral. And Palkia gets Wow, 87%. Strong Dialga right there. Life 2 means just it's really hard to get damage off. And high horsepower doing 31% as Cali is just really, really bad. And so that's game over, unfortunately. Wasn't a particularly close game too either. Oh, so game 1 he was probably trying to, or sorry, this game, this turn 1 was trying to follow me to get the fake out into Ogerpon. So Talonflame could taunt probably, but cover on Talonflame would have been good there. I don't really know what he went with it, but yeah, it was just a pretty rough loss. That Perish song was really brutal, and the Encore Disable strategy I've seen a lot, but it's very good for a reason. Like if you're really fast and you can force someone to do the same thing over and over again, I think they can't do that anymore. They just struggle. So you can click one of them or both, and it works well. Fake out Goth is also expected, but good. And no Iron Hands either game was a little rough. I don't think that was necessarily the play. Maybe he didn't have Volt Switch on it. Maybe he didn't have U-turn on Ogerpon, but still, if you're fighting Perish Trap, you have to find a way to get out of the trap. And if you don't have any way, then you're kind of screwed. So we saw that here. Let's move on to game 2, which was my matchup versus Eternum. And this was a very interesting match for several reasons, but you'll see the most interesting reason off start. Let's slow this down a little. So I just lead my pretty solid standard lead, and then whoa, a dog with no shield comes out, and I was shocked. He brought Zamazenta, but not crowned. So in our league, Zacian and Zamazenta are both just Pokemon that can bring the crown form or not. You can bring a different item if you want. You don't have to run the Rusted Sword, Rusted Shield. And that means you can run Zamazenta which isn't a fighting steel, just a pure fighting type if you want. And it means he's also faster, which I don't think I realized at any point in this match. I don't think I actually realized that he is faster, but he is. Additionally, it means that you don't have that steel weakness, which means that fighting type moves are not super effective into you. Ground type moves aren't super effective into you. So like, even though steel's a great typing, in a lot of ways, against my team it actually could hurt to be a steel type, and especially when you're prepping against a steel type and he doesn't bring one. So yeah. And then you Terra Electrics. He's probably expecting a Thunder Wave, but the fake out there is huge because I just don't even buy into the to that. And then Surging Strikes is also great because Terra Electric is pretty much just wasted here. And even if he gets coachinged, his defense is unaffected by my Surging Strikes. So I just get a free kill here, which is incredibly nice. And then what do I go for? I think I go for Spirit Break here, just because it would be super effective, or if he switches, it would be into a special attacker or super effective again, depending on who he switched into. So Spirit Break is a very good move, like unless he switches into Hippowdon, I guess, which he doesn't. So I Thunder Wave here just to kind of scout for Lumberry and also just to see. I expect easily to kill here with Surging Strikes again, but Urshifu is not as strong as I think. Expanding Force does a lot of damage, and thankfully Annihilate is paralyzed. It's really good for me, so I can definitely get a kill here. And I go for a Spirit Break to do just above half. I attack in that order because I am Scarf, so I outspeed Mewtwo, whereas I don't outspeed Mewtwo with Grimmsnarl. And then Grimmsnarl, it outspeeds Annihilate guaranteed. I don't. Maybe even if he's Scarf, just because he's paralyzed. So that's the reason I attacked in that order. He gets a Defiant boost, which I forgot about, which is really bad for me, except he's paralyzed, thankfully. So he just got very unlucky RNG. And I Terra Water here just to pick up the kill, but I get OHKO'd, or I die. I was at 28%, Don't know why I thought I was going to live that, but I was pretty confident that I lived that. Maybe if I didn't Terra Water, I would have lived that, because I think fighting resist dark. But either way, it was bad. Also, this is just terrible here. Clicking Thunder Wave into Chen Pao. I don't know what I was thinking. That was a very bad play. I switched to Miraidon because I'm like, okay, Miraidon can 100% live a hit, whereas Sneasler couldn't because I'm at 19%. And it can't. So, if I just clicked Spirit Break last turn instead of Thunder Wave into the Dark type, I would have been in a great spot. But for some reason, I don't click it, and for some reason, I switch and assume that Miraidon can take the super effective attack, which is stab and is probably max attack, and my defense is lowered because he is Chen Pao and has that ability. I just assume I can live it when I can't. So that was really stupid. I should have just stayed him with Sneasler, and then I attack with both, and then I don't care. I was really trying to preserve the diff, but I just hurt Miraidon's diff, so it's whatever. I would have lost Sneasler either way, so it's just a dumb mistake. But after this game 1, I am extremely thrown off. Like, Zamazenta not having a shield, and with Pokemon, like Chen Pao doing way more to both my mons than I would think, and with Mewtwo taking a lot less damage than I think, I'm just so thrown off this game. What is Annihilate doing here? What is Indeedee doing in the back? Not even bringing him. I was like really confused. And you'll see that for game 2 that I'm incredibly thrown off. So we can watch how thrown off I am game 2. I bring Miraidon Grimmsnarl, just a very strong duo. This way, if he does lead Indeedee, I can get straight to Misty Terrain to get rid of his Psychic Terrain. And yeah, I believe I just go for Electro Drift into Chen Pao. No, I go for a Draco, actually, just in case he switches. Which I should have gone for Electro Drift. I wasn't sure what I was thinking there. But it was a bad play, regardless. And so I just switch out. And I Thunder Wave, even though I'm in Misty Terrain, which I set up, which blocks status moves. Or not status moves. Blocks status conditions. So, at this point in the game, I don't know what I'm doing. I missed Draco Meteor, which is unfortunate, but just using it instead of Electro Drift was a bad play anyways. And you can see up here that he is Terra Grass Mewtwo, so maybe I expected him to Terra Grass and stay in and do a lot of damage. I guess that makes sense. But Thunder Wave into Misty Terrain makes no sense whatsoever, so I'm just playing very poorly here. He gets off some nice damage. And skill swaps Prankster and Psychic Surge. So he sets up back his Psychic Terrain and steals my Prankster, which is good for him. Meaning, because if I get rid of the Psychic Terrain, then he's in a good spot. Gets off a little bit of damage and picks up the kill, which is rough. I get his Chen Pao very low. This is fine because Sash anyways. So I probably just go for Surging Strikes into one of these two guys. And he skill swaps me, but he has Prankster, so he can't actually do, which won't do anything. Thankfully for me, I just get off a lot of damage, and now I believe in a Spirit Break, which is a good at play actually because of the switch. This is the second time where it would have been super effective if he stayed in, but he switched into Mewtwo and gets a special attack drop, which still works in my favor. I believe that I think that even with the Spit F increase, Spirit Break should kill. I don't know if I go for that. Terra Water here, to try and pick up the kill was very pathetic. I don't know why. I knew he was Terra Grass, so I don't know what I was doing there. It was a waste of a Terra. Thunder Wave is brutal because now my Scarf is working against me, and Grimmsnarl dies before he can even attack. So that's unfortunate. Miraidon comes back out. At least I have my terrain up, and he protects, and I should pick up the kill on both here. Unless I Surging Strike instead of go for like low kick. Which is unfortunate by me. I don't know why I didn't go for low kick there, but it's okay. Because the game's pretty much lost at this point anyways. I still definitely can win, but because he outspeeds, which I don't realize, I'm pretty sure I don't realize that at this point. It's pretty much lost. instead of going for the kill on Mewtwo, I just decide to attack into Zamazenta just to see how much it does. Because the game's lost anyways, as you can see here. So, maybe one of my worst rounds ever. I think I've made every wrong decision pretty much. And there were lots of situations where I had a chance to claw it back if I played well, and I just played the opposite of well. So, really not my best work. Going into game 3, I'm extremely shook, thrown off. I played terrible. I know that I played terrible. So I have to tell myself to calm down and lock in. Hopefully, manage to get a game 3 win after the rough game 1. And the game 3 hype annoys me just because I feel like, oh, I could have easily gone the one game 2 there, but I just made so many dumb mistakes. So I like telling myself to really lock in here. And we both have the electric seed, which is kind of funny. And now I Terra Dark Throat Chop to get an Oko on Mewtwo. He switches, meaning I still just get off a good bit of damage. But the Psychic Fangs is huge for me. If he had gone for Body Press, which he wouldn't because it's resisted, but if he had done that, that would have been really bad for me. Additionally, he could have done that just any attack like Play Rough or Body Press into Rhydon, but that wouldn't have OHKO'd. It would have done some good damage, but not a ton, and I knew that. So I go for Electro Drift into Zamazenta and pick up the OHKO, which is huge because he has defense increases, but no special defense increases. So I'm able to get that OHKO for free, which is really, really nice. I switch out just to preserve Miraidon because I might need him later in this game, especially if he has Indeedee in the back. He protects there, which is okay, because I go for a low kick. And then he goes for a final gambit, which doesn't even kill. So that's unfortunate for him. Caesar's not very bulky, but just that not killing is a little rough for him. Sucker Punch, I live at 1%, which is very, very nice because I'm able to put him down to Sash. And I believe I go for an attack. The Paralyze is nice for him. I think I go for Mewtwo. No, I just got to get rid of Chinpao. Okay. And now it is a 1v4 for him. So he's very much on the back foot. And I have Terra Dark Throat Chop, which I don't know why I thought it would be an OHKO turn 1. It clearly wasn't. So, yeah, that's unfortunate. Rhydon comes back out and outspeeds and is able to just kill. Thankfully, because there was a full para on Boulder. So yeah, that game 3 felt like what I could have done game 2 if I had locked in, but I did not. So it was a very up and down set for me. Eternum played pretty well throughout, honestly. I made some bold plays in both games, and some games, like game 2, they did not pay off at all. They were just kind of very, very poor plays. And game 1, there were a handful of pretty poor plays by me too. But game 3, a lot of the bets I took ended up paying off. So that's why you don't gamble on Pokemon. But yeah, very good set. Eternum played very well. So in another world where, especially if I had not kind of regained my nerves or focused back in, then I could easily see myself losing that second or the third game, and that would have been rough. But thankfully we start 2-0 to the season, and let's move on to a pretty anticipated matchup, Rain Team versus Sun Team. It's a classic matchup. The difference is we do have a lot more speed on this side, but easier tailwind on this side. And you can see kind of less speed generally compared to this team, especially with like Regieleki and Flutter and Koraidon. Another thing is that I think Meowstic does get weather, Prankster weather. I'm not sure on that. But there's a lot of these guys get Rain Dance, and probably none of these guys are running Sunny Day. If I had to guess, they kind of just have Koraidon. So I feel like it's easier to get Rain up in this matchup. But that being said, Cromp's team is very scary and can get probably a lot of neutral damage off here, which is all he needs. So I could really see this going either way. But even though Rain has a slight rain advantage, I could see this going Cromp's way. interesting to lead Pelipper off the bat because he's able to send out Koraidon right away if he wishes. He does not go for that, thankfully. Electroweb means that Flutter Mane outspeeds everything and is not able to pick up an Oko on Tornadus, which is really good for him. But he goes for a Bleak Wind Storm instead of like something like a Tailwind, which would have been very nice. Tailwind there would have been huge, actually. Maybe there's AV on that Torn. Hard to say. I don't really know Torn too well. So Trick Room comes out. That's why he doesn't go for Tailwind, because he's going for Trick Room. Interesting. So Trapagos is able to come out. Probably go for something like a Terra Star Storm on Regieleki, which would easily kill. Hydro Pump connects and kills, which is very nice. I think Palkia has gone 6 for 6 on Hydro Pump so far. I know they went 5 for 5 week 1, so I think this makes it 6 for 6. And Koraidon comes out and is able to finally get the sun up, which is very nice for him. Just protect on Koraidon, learning their lesson from last game where they let Koraidon go down very easily in all 3 games, really. And then Trapagos eats the first hit like it always does, but gets off really no damage, which is unfortunate. I expected an Earth Power, honestly. Earth Power is a pretty common coverage move on Trapagos. And the Terra, just because the Fisher Run is quite predictable. Photon Geyser gets off 50%, which is pretty good, actually, into Trapagos. And the Calm Mind is probably not doing you too many favors. The Scale Shot missing is also pretty huge for Nick, because you are up 3-2. The Protect there is just the Spatial Rend is very predictable. But getting outsped in Trick Room is really rough for Trapagos because he just Calm Minds once and gets off 14%, and that's really all he does. Pelipper finally comes out and sets up the rain for good, which is nice. Protect on Palkia is a little interesting. I think probably... Okay, I mean, I guess it's fine, but I think Pelipper takes a lot of damage here. 70%, yeah. And then a Tailwind, maybe? A Hurricane, ooh. I think Pelipper does not get nearly enough damage on the Necrozma for it to live, so... And then Photon Geyser picks up the kill, and Pelipper probably... Maybe only has Hurricane as a attacking move, but if you know that Weather Ball, 2 Weather Balls, or actually 1 Weather Ball, is no-go, I guess, since you don't have the health to live another Photon. I guess you have to just not reveal information if you know that Weather Ball doesn't do like 73%, which it probably doesn't. So it's pretty unfortunate for Nick, because you felt winnable, definitely. But Trick Room ending was really rough for him. So move on to game 2, where hopefully he's able to kind of work around speed control a little bit better. I'm expecting a Tailwind, honestly. I think Tailwind makes a lot of sense because Amoonguss and maybe Pelipper get undersped can underspeed Necrozma and Trick Room, but otherwise Necrozma is extremely slow if it wants to be, which I think it is. And Calm Mind right away makes a lot more sense than waiting. But Sunsteel Strike crits, and I think Prism Armor is like a mold breaker, I believe, in the sense of... No. I'm not sure why Sunsteel Strike ignored Terra Shell, but the crit did a lot of damage, and Trick Room comes out, which is good and bad, because Necrozma's on the field, and he can get off a really strong attack here. Or he goes for Protect, which is nice. Because you let Regieleki get off some damage. Or Blade Screen, that's even better, because Palkia can get off those Hydro Pumps. And now Hydro Pumps are even weaker, and Palkia is probably going for another Hydro Pump and not a Spatial Rend, and it misses its first Hydro Pump, which is unfortunate. It's just... feels like very predictable play from Nick here, and very good play from Gromp over here, and that was a pretty nice read on the Protect, but still, not picking up an Oko on Regieleki, who's extremely not bulky, means the Light Screen's putting in a severe work here. Again, not picking up the kill, it's unfortunate. Palkia, thankfully, is slower in Trick Room now that he's paralyzed, but Amoonguss takes so much damage here, too. Once Trick Room ends, you're really in trouble. He dies to Life Orb, thankfully. But Palkia goes down, and now it's Meowstic and Amoonguss versus the world, which is just really not a spot you want to be in. And even if Meowstic can get off a fake out here into something like Necrozma, Amoonguss probably won't live this Regieleki Terra Blast. Yeah, definitely won't. It's just really, really, really unfortunate for Nick here. The light screen did so much work against the entire team being special attackers. I believe, yeah, even Tornadus was. So the entire team was just special attacking. So light screen was a really good call by Cromp. And even Prankster Rain Dance changed the weather. Didn't matter too much because he didn't bring. He brought Flutter once, but he didn't bring Walking Wake at all. It was just very, very smart play by Cromp on who to bring, who not to bring. When to Terra and when to protect. I think all of those things were really crucial in Cromp's win. And if Nick had played a little less predictably, I think this would have been much closer. Also, good call by Wah saying that Scale Shot was without loaded dice. She was just hoping it would hit a lot, and it hit 5 times, I believe. Yeah, just by luck, which is really unfortunate for Nick, but it happens. So yeah, unfortunate loss for Nick. I think his team is still really good, so he's still very much in it. I am also a little glad to see Cromp get a win because I think his team is incredibly strong, and he's a great player. We saw last week he played very well and still got bested by SNB because SNB just played great. But Cromp showed so much potential that I think it would really be hard to see him having a losing record even after going 0-1 the first week. And he just got another win and won in pretty dominant fashion. So I don't think it's as much of a blight on Nick's part. It's more of just kind of a reflection of the strength of Cromp and his team. I'm very impressed with his performances both weeks, and his team is incredibly strong. I think he probably has the best team in the draft. It's hard to argue that he doesn't. And watching how he can beat Trick Room teams as a naturally very fast kind of hyper offense team is incredible. The light screen on Regieleki was very smart. Just played well throughout. So looking forward to seeing what both these players can do. Nick trying to, I believe he is 1-1 now, or maybe he is 0-2. But either way, he's not a bad player for sure. I think he just needs to get more comfortable with his team and bring more diverse Pokemon. Maybe make a handful of adjustments, and then he'll be in a great spot. And Cromp too, just very strong overall. And let's move on to this matchup, which I don't know if I watched this matchup. It's Strubite versus SMB. No idea who won this. Hopefully Screwbite's able to get a win here, because it looks like a pretty favorable matchup. Especially Zacian and a lot of these guys can do a lot of damage. Switching to Gliscor right away from Kingdra and a Protect. Okay, just kind of scoping out, seeing what's going to happen. You expect to fake out on turn 1. And Dragonite is good there because of a very passive play, and he kind of punched a little. Not too hard, though. And an immediate switch out. That's... wow. You outspeed everything. You could outspeed the Tailwind and get off a kill. And that's... even though the Earth power is ignored. I mean, was that all really... was it worth getting rid of the free Dragon Dance just to kill Politoed? I mean, hard to say. I think something like a Scale Shot could have done a lot of damage into either. Or you could just hit him with a Bolt Strike and kill Politoed right like that. The Ice Beam is also really, really rough because you have Swift Swim plus Tailwind, meaning you're 100% faster than everything. Not that you weren't before, but just being able to OHKO is really huge. And now Rillaboom is within Ice Beam range. And the rest of his team is weak to ice. Actually, he brought 4 mons that are all weak to ice. Probably going to sack Landorus here, because I expect an Ice Beam into one of these two. And then a Dual Wing Beat into Rilla, probably. So Landorus does go down just for Intimidate. And Earthquake doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because he's a grass type. Oh, he was probably expecting Zekrom to stay in. Okay, I guess I understand. And then if Station's in the back, it's game over. Yeah. The Fairy into the play rough would be really brutal into Zekrom, and no Terra yet, I believe. But still. Behemoth Blade, probably expecting... Is it Terra Fairy? It's Terra Poison. Okay, probably expecting a Terra either way. And now is a question of, do you expect the Terra again? He protects to try and bait the Terra. If he Dragon Dances here, that's absolute... Okay, he doesn't. I mean, I wouldn't expect him to, but it would have been really cool. He goes for play rough. If he Dragon Dances here, I mean... No. Okay. And that is just a kill on Zekrom. That endgame was played pretty well by Screwbite. I mean, you're vulnerable to a Dragon Dance. I think that would have made a lot of sense, because you didn't know Station had Protect, obviously. But once he used Behemoth Blade on the non-Terra Zekrom, you can assume that he's trying to predict the Terra. He's really trying to get you to Terra, so he knows what move to click. A Dragon Dance could make sense there. I think just the switching out immediately on the Dragon Dance Zekrom is weird. It's not... I understand that the turn did work out in the sense that you O-code Polytoad. Like, let's watch this. We have Polytoad and Kingdra. Kingdra switches into Gliscor, right? But let's say you assume that this is going to be exactly how it is. It still doesn't make a whole lot of sense to go for a... Sorry, he plays this turn, okay. This turn, where he already is Dragon Danced, he switches. You could Fusion Bolt into Polytoad, okay, guaranteed, and then have Rillaboom do whatever he wants into Gliscor. You get outsped, but you're not dying in one turn to Gliscor. Gliscor's not that strong. And Zekrom could take a ground type move, but he's probably okay. Realistically, he's fine. Then you could also, if you think that, that's not okay, you can use whatever, Scale Shot, whatever you want, into Gliscor. And then you could go with Rillaboom for the Wood Hammer into Polytoad. But instead, this switch and Tailwind getting up means the Earth Power is able to outspeed. So I guess you were assuming that Zekrom couldn't OHKO Gliscor and you would die this turn to like maybe a double up of Earth Power and Earthquake. But if he doesn't Tailwind here, then you outspeed and OHKO Polytoad. So it's like, with everything going on this turn, I think you can very comfortably keep Zekrom in without Terra and live. I mean, Terra doesn't help you because you're Terra Poison, but I think you can very comfortably live this turn as Zekrom. And the switch is just a little overreactive, and it forces you to a much closer end game. Zekrom is scary with one Dragon Dance up. He can OHKO, go from like doing 70% everything to OHKO. So interesting play. I said Scale Shot. You could also easily go for Dragon Claw if you're not a Scale Shot set. Whatever move is probably going to do a lot of damage. But another just hard rain lead of Polytoad and Kingdra. Probably because you saw how much Ice Beam did last turn. You're going to probably try and Ice Beam Rilla. Or kill Magmar. Either makes sense. Probably go for Rilla. Which doesn't fake out, which is surprising. Probably because it didn't work in game 1, but very interesting. If you know you're switching to Zekrom, I would probably... Interesting play all around. You could just stay in too and probably just fake out there. Then you you outspeed with Magmar and able to get off an attack or something. But this switch is fine. Not tearing there, just expecting to not be targeted is interesting. Because even if you Terra, then and he goes for Behemoth Blade, reads the Terra, you still live. So it makes sense to Terra there or to switch. Ice Beam does a lot of damage. Oh, it's Zoroark. Okay. And then Snarl comes out and makes Kingdra slightly weaker, but he still outspeeds everything. So, and the Will-O-Wisp makes sense, but he protects there. So. Gliscor comes out. Behemoth Blade kills, obviously. Will-O-Wisp probably just a Genetization. Yeah, okay. It's not bad, by any means, but you're just in a weird spot now where you have a pretty low Rillaboom and you have Magmar who can't do a whole lot. Poison Jab is interesting on Zacian, but it works. I mean, Earthquake hits both you guys for around the same, and Will-O-Wisp into probably the Toxic to Gliscor. Maybe he's choiced? I mean, there's no point in hiding information when you're down 3-1. And you've already lost game 1, so... He's not choiced, okay. I don't know what the thought... He probably just misclicked. Or wasn't thinking that that Toxic was different. So Behemoth Blade... Sure. I mean, it doesn't matter who kills him, really. He's gotta die, so... I don't know what the Terra type was. It's Terra Water, so Behemoth Blade doesn't make sense either way. Just play rough him, or actually, sorry, he's fighting or a fire type, so he just poison jab him. But it doesn't matter. That's pretty rough loss for SMB game 1, especially after how well he played week 1. That I really would have expected more from him. This was a pretty rough loss. Screwbite did play very well, though. So I want to 100% give props to Screwbite. I feel like whenever you talk about your one player playing poorly, it feels like a discredit to the other player. But he won both games pretty comfortably, and Zacian was definitely his best Mon throughout this match, or Kingdra, but like it felt pretty balanced. He didn't bring Ogre or Jugulus, but he played very well. He read SNB very well, but he also didn't make a whole lot of big predictions. Like he played kind of passively, kind of wanted to wait and see what SNB would do, and then punished him for that. So I think Screwbite played it pretty well. Let's move on to OK versus Trippy. I have not watched this, I believe, or maybe I have. I think I have watched this, but it's okay. Metagross, he's probably just baiting out the boom. He's probably going to protect with Conkeldurr to get up the... Oh, he doesn't. Oh, he does. Sorry. Helping Hand goes first. I forgot. Yeah, I would have expected a boom turn 1. And he just sacks and DD to get up Psychic Terrain. That's okay. But you would expect a stun Conkeldurr for sure. I think the concern from Trippy's perspective is, okay, what if he uses Trick Room with Comfey, which Comfey does have Trick Room, I believe, 100%. So what if he Trick Rooms with Comfey, and what if he's just able to protect with Conkeldurr, which I feel like you would expect to protect on Conkeldurr. He loves clicking Protect turn 1 just to get up that Flame Orb with Guts. And then what if he's able to outspeed me and Oko everything? That's a valid concern, but just clicking the boom button when you only have one of those per game is just, it's just a little iffy. I think Comfey is annoying, but you have a Steel type in front of him. You can just hit him with, if you're really scared about him getting up Trick Room, have Dusclops use whatever move, maybe Nightshade, maybe Taunt. I don't know if he has Taunt, but use whatever. And then just hit him with a Steel type attack, and he'll probably die. Comfey's not very bulky. But you would have been fine. The downside is like he gets off a free attack with Conk if he doesn't protect, but it's not Guts boosted, so And he's probably protecting anyways. So I think that was a pretty rough turn one. Terra Water Garg just to try and live, whatever. Oh, and the hit of Fissure is huge because Conkeldurr is really good. Wow, that was very lucky Fissure there. And Trick Room does come out. Yeah, Comfey does have it. Lunala and Comfey. I still think this is a good spot for OK to be in, though. Honestly. Helping Hand, probably just Oko's, whoever. The Will-O-Wisp, even though he's a special attacker, is just interesting. Probably has nothing better to do, honestly. Probably should just 100% target, the partner of Dusclops here, because Dusclops feels like he's being pretty useless. As expected, because he's Dusclops. Tinglu, maybe? So you underspeed, that's good. You have to hope to hit a Fissure here. If you hit this Fissure, you win the game. Nightshade is interesting. Okay, misses the Fissure, which is expected. And Tinglu dies. Okay. So we now know that Dusclops is pretty useless other than being next to Metagross in this matchup. And if he had gotten very lucky with his Fissures, he would have been in a great spot. He hit one, which was a good one to hit, and then missed the other two. So if he had hit Lunala and then it was just Comfey versus especially Garganacl alive too, but if let's say it's just Tinglu and Dusclops versus Comfey and Garganacl, that's a much better spot to be in. Though Comfey does almost definitely have Draining Kiss and could beat Tinglu. Also, hey Spam.
What is up?
Well, everyone welcomes Spam to the stream, and by everyone I mean like just Wah. But
Oh,
hey,
yeah?
we just watched game 1 of OK versus Strippy. Very very interesting match. Dusclops did nothing pretty much, and Garganacl hit a pretty huge Fissure. I mean to Conkeldurr, but then missed his next two into Lunala. So, the next two Fissures missed. So it was a little rough. Also turn 1 was pretty poor. So it's Conkeldurr and Comfey versus Metagross and Dusclops. Now, if you're Trippy, you expect a Protect on Conkeldurr and a Trick Room on Comfey. That's what I would expect. Maybe a Switch on Comfey, but that's probably what I expect. And so the best solution to Protect and Trick Room / Switch is obviously just go all out, ignore the fact that he's protecting, and Helping Hand Explosion. So you kill your own Metagross and just trade for Indeedee. Which puts you at a bad spot, because Dusclops does really nothing here. And then the rest of this game, where we can just go on fast. He gets the Fissure, which is huge. Dusclops is useless, pretty much. And then he sets up Trick Room. The Helping Hand... The Will-O-Wisp makes no sense, really, because he's a special attacker. Fissure misses, but then Garganacl just gets O-code.
Can you share your screen?
Yeah, I will. And then, once again, Tinglu misses Fissure, and then it's just game over from there. So, I'll share my screen. I know you could watch the stream as well, but this probably makes it easier for you.
Yeah, because the stream has a delay.
Yep. Also, the main strategy is Fissure. That's how his team is built. It's built on Oko moves. I could see him winning a few matches if he just gets lucky, or if he just doesn't run Fissure like Oko moves. But we'll see what happens game 2.
He needs to start running Gravity.
He did. Well, I don't think that affects it actually. I don't think it's affected by accuracy changes. Only like Mind Reader and Touch Lock on. And no guard. He should have Golurk on his team. Or Lycanroc or something. Some way to skill swap no guard. Dusclops probably not doing too much here, and Trick Room comes out, which is unfortunate. I don't think he learned his lesson from game 1. He just was too passive. They both Helping Hand, but Kyogre probably just dies here, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Damn.
So, really, really bad spot for Trippy to be in already. If you just let Comfey set up Trick Room and you let Conkeldurr protect, then you're in a bad spot. And so, And
Another helping
Metagross.
hand.
No helping hand explosion here. Interesting. Well, Metagross wasn't Terra Ghost, I don't think. Yeah, he wasn't, so. That's unfortunate, but you do die. Kyurem probably is about to get kicked to the face as well. Even with Terra Ground, you probably still die here. Nightshade, again, into Conkeldurr. Just because Dusclops doesn't have anything better to do. And yeah, you can pretty easily kill Dusclops here with like a... Yeah, you just want to give Conkeldurr the kills, it makes sense. Thunder Punch. Maybe that's the only coverage move he had. Maybe he doesn't have a knockoff.
Why does he keep night shooting into the Conkeldurr?
I think he's just... He has nothing better to do. And he heals, and yeah.
Oof.
That's just like a punch in the face for
Now the
Trippy.
Icy Wind Mystic was the punch in the face.
yeah. Conkeldurr just ends the game at full health. So very, very unfortunate. Yeah, only one fissure hit because he just didn't play very well. Yeah, that was a pretty rough game for Trippy on a lot of fronts. So okay, played well, but like he didn't need to play that well to win that one. So GG's. I think probably the last move on Conk was Facade, by the way. Probably that's why he's Terra Normal, and that's why he didn't click it into Dusclops. What were you saying?
I think Trippy might need to reevaluate his strategy for the next.
Yeah, I think
weeks.
what he did game 2 against me was great. He game 1 he just went all out on Oko moves and I beat him. And it was like a little close because he hit 1, I think. And then maybe 2. But either way, like game 1 was like pretty easily won by me. And in game 2, I totally expected him to go for Oko moves and he didn't, and he threw me off. So if you can throw your opponent off by not going for them when they expect you to, that's the best way to abuse the strategy. Otherwise, you're just kind of setting yourself up for failure. Because 30% accurate moves are missing 70% of the time. So, also, while I've seen that strategy where you have Bronzong and Lapras go for Oko moves to skill swap No Guard with Golurk. I believe that was a Wolfie VGC strategy that he used in some weird tournament. Maybe it was an online tournament. But either way, it was a fun strategy. I've seen it before that too. That's what he should be doing. I don't really know why he's not, but it's okay. Anyways, let's move on to the final matchup of the week. Because Bosi and It's Just Me did not send in the replays. It's Just Me sent the actual live links instead. They might rematch for stats. I think they both did agree to that, so I think it's going to happen at some point. But either way, it's not that accurate. So instead of waiting for them to rematch, I think it doesn't affect things too much. And spoiler alert, It's Just Me did win 2-1. So even if they do play for like stats, that won't really affect the outcome. So this is the last matchup, and it's Charcoal Oven versus TBL. I'm gonna watch from Charcoal's perspective because he's my friend.
Wow,
Yep,
biased
and
much?
I'm biased. Yep, I even made his logo, so I don't know why his profile picture is 2 girls. A little sus. But it's okay. He has a lot of fairy types on here.
Yeah.
Probably Terra Fairy Draining Kiss. I think he. Oh wait, yeah. This is the exact same team he used week 1. Fun fact.
He's infamous for doing that. He did that last season a lot too.
Yeah, and again for week 3, you might recognize his team because he ran the same exact PokePaste team 3 weeks in a row. The same team. It's a good team. I'll give him that. But he ran the same thing 3 weeks in a row. I won't spoil the outcome of his week 3 game. Obviously, you'll have to see next stream for that. But yeah. So let's watch this. A Scraggy Necrozma lead is really fun. Probably fake out Trick Room. Makes the most sense here. Please don't fake out Tornadus, because he's just gonna have Covert Cloak. Okay. Please Oko Necrozma, because otherwise this is not... Oh, he just gets a Trick Room, right? Tailwind and Trick Room? Yeah. Oh no,
Yep.
Charcoal. What are you thinking? You silly Billy. That was kind of bad play on both parts. Meteor Beam should pick up the Oko. Oh, wait, he's not Power Herb.
It's not Power
Oh,
Herb.
because it was knocked
Wow.
off. He was knocked off. He was knocked off.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
He probably forgot that he was knocked off. Like, I forgot that. Unfortunate, unfortunate. Last year comes out and is now the fastest thing in the world. If you don't... Oh, wait. Sunny Day just to help Great Tusk, I guess? I don't know. What was that for? Maybe just to help whoever's coming in, like Raging Bolt or something like that, or Entei. Entei, perfect. Entei is now very strong into Glastrier. And Glastrier goes for high horsepower in Okos. That's very nice.
Nuke
The crit
the dog.
probably mattered, but you already +1 attack, so hard to say. And Glastrier's extremely strong. And Giga Drain Okoing is huge as well. So it's now probably Calyrex versus the world. With Trick Room up one more turn. If you have Protect, which he probably does, this is a great turn to click it. Yep. And you still have that extra Trick Room turn. And you get to just see how he's clicking the same moves again, but it's not that bad of a play. The question is, how much do you do? And switching out here is a big mistake. You have a ×2 Glastrier who almost definitely lives this attack. You could have probably won with a double up because you probably don't both die. And a Nasty Plot is great here for Charcoal, taking a huge advantage of that switch. A Fairy Draining Kiss could be great into Scraggy here too. And Fake Out is interesting. It is a Draining Kiss. Great play there. And you bait the Terra on Hydrapple. You get another special attack boost from that kill, which is nice. And you are probably strong enough to Oko both of them at this point. So this should be a reverse sweep from Calyrex. And he protects. So, there's a fun fact about damage calcs in doubles. Attacks do more damage to the do more damage if you're attacking one target. So let's say you have something like Earthquake or Astral Barrage. I believe they only do 80% of the normal damage, or they do 75% of the normal damage if you're hitting both targets. But if you're hitting one target, it does the full damage. So protecting here, if Hydrapple hadn't lived that would have been really bad play. And they could have easily made it so that your protect actually killed Hydrapple. So that was not necessarily a great play there by Hydrapple and or by TBL. And Glastrier, if Hydrapple can live it, I assume Glastrier can live it. But I mean, we'll see that next turn because he goes for Astral Barrage again. He doesn't actually live it.
Does not live it.
Hydrapple maybe is AV, but I don't know how he has so much more special bulk than Glastrier. Oh, Glastrier is very physically bulky, not especially bulky. That's why.
Very physically bulky.
Yeah, he's like 130, something ridiculous physical bulk, 120. So that was a great reverse sweep. The Nasty Plot there was hot. That was beautiful. Like on this
that's
turn.
my line.
Yeah, I know. I copied you. Oh my god! Just on the switch out, or so not on the switch out. Sorry, the Nasty Plot was on this switch out, and that helped them so much.
Did
Because
Terra that match?
I don't think
I don't think
he
so.
did.
I wonder if that's why Scraggy went for the fake out in hopes that maybe he was gonna Terra there.
Yeah, I think knockoff still makes more sense. Then you also got to learn what his item is. I guess fake out would have been nice, but if he's gonna use draining kiss out of the way, it's just still not great. Also, wow, 100, 130, 110 on Glastrier for bulk. That's ridiculous.
Special bulk, yeah.
Also, I was right with the 75%. Spread moves do 75% of the normal damage if they hit both targets. So Hydrapple could have easily been killed by Glastrier protecting there. Either way, just this turn of the switch this turn of the switch out, just I don't think there's any world in which Calyrex with no boosts, Okos, that Glostrier, and Hydrapple hitting both. I really don't think there's a world where that happens. So just stay in, and I think that's a pretty free win. But instead, Calyrex just sweeps and is the GOAT. Calyrex Shadow Rider, he's one of those mons that you think, oh, it's so easy to kill him. I just knock off or sucker or whatever. But he has Terra as an option, or he could just not even Terra and still do that much damage. And if you make mistakes like TBL did here, he really punches them because he just sets up and gets even stronger. And 2.5 times special attack on Calyrex is ridiculous. So yeah, that's GG's. Very unfortunate for TBL, and also notably did not bring Ursulina or Frigraph, which are both immune to Astral Barrage, which is interesting. I'm curious as to why he did that and brought Scraggy over both of them, or Hydrapple over both of them. But we'll see how he adjusts for game 2, and we're gonna watch it from Jarkle's perspective again, because I'm biased again.
Wow.
If it's Callie and Torn, no. Okay. Now you've learned your lesson. Intimidate doesn't work into Entei, pretty obviously, because inner focus. But you're like, okay, maybe I can fake out Entei because I know I can't fake out Torn and click Trick Room on Frigraph is what I'm expecting. Prankster Taunt doesn't make a lot of sense there. I think he probably just forgot. And Taunt into Torn makes a lot of sense, and Trick Room comes out. Yep. Setting yourself up. Ursulina probably in the back. Hard switch to Ursula is maybe not the smartest play because Sacred Fire just came out into Frigraph. So if that comes out into... Oh, your guts, but still. Yeah, you take a lot of damage there, and you're at 34%, and then after burn, you're at 28. Ooh. You really need to hope to... I don't know what you go for here. Rock Slide? I don't even know. But E-Speed kills anyways. Oh, wow.
Damn it.
Terra. Normal. Wow, and the knockoff onto the choice band is actually really good here because it means you're able to outspeed in Trick Room. So that actually worked against TBL there. And once again, the Intimidate does nothing. So you're making the special attacker weaker. You get a fake out, which is actually a waste of a move because he was undersped by Glossier either way. So you should have just gone for a knockoff or something into Torn. But it's whatever. It's just makes this way harder to come back. Frigraph and Glostrier versus the world. It is probably not going to work out. With Sunny Day, this Thunderclap could Oko. He doesn't go for it, but Ice Craft misses, and that's really bad. T-Gleam does nothing. Probably AV on Raging Bolt.
Crazy.
But Snarl makes it so Frigraph is now useless, and Trick Room's over. So, this is very easily GG's. Oh, that's why he didn't go for Thunderclap. That makes a lot of sense, but he goes for it. Anyways, maybe just because he knows. So yeah. Also, thank you for the Calc Wa. Wa made the calc and showed that as a spread move, max attacks Calyrex Shadow Rider at +2. Or sorry. Is it at +2? I think he made it at +2. Is 8. No, he didn't make it at +2, but either way, it's a 22% chance to 2-hit kill Glostrier. So Glostrier without the special attack boost from Scraggy, Glostrier easily lives that and is able to kill Calyrex here. So pretty rough play by TBL not going for that. And then game 2 was just a lot of like little mistakes, and Charcoal played very well. I think the ballsiest play by far is just this. He switches into Scraggy and going for Nasty Plot. I think Nasty Plot is actually 100% the play here because if he just doubles you, you die no matter what. And
But
so
if they don't,
that's the only way you have. Oh, that's the only route out of here is if you can set up and then you can Draining Kiss Scraggy, which probably doesn't have protect. If you see here, he has taunt, knock off, fake out. Um, and then we don't see his last move, but it's probably fighting coverage, maybe. Or I don't know actually what it would be, but it's just probably not protect on Scraggy, and so you can pretty safely get this Oko and get back up to full health, and you already know you can eat Hydrapple attacks like they're nothing. So once you hit that nasty plot, you feel like it's a pretty nice win. And now that you're at 2.5 times special attack, you should pretty easily be able to kill both, and we see that he is. So, yeah, that was the last matchup for week 2. This stream is significantly faster than the Hoplite one. I feel like there's a lot more yapping in that one. I don't know
Hey now.
who does that stream, but just you spam I know you want if you want to relay that to them that they do a little bit more yapping over there.
Yeah, well, when our turns go 45 plus fucking turns,
yeah,
our
yeah.
matches go
Your
45
games do
plus
go
turns.
extremely long, to be fair. And I kind of need the app to save the thought process, because if you're not like knowledgeable of VGC, then a lot of these plays could make no sense. And even me, like, there's a lot of things I don't see, and I need people like Wah or like Screwbite or Amlo Dude and like the chat to like tell me like, no, this is why they went for this probably. And it like I'm like, oh, that makes sense. And I've played VGC for years and years, and I'm like literally running this draft league, and I still don't see like things like this. So that's why I do the breakdowns of in the depth I do, just to help like think through why did they make this move, or how could they have won this, or how could they have played differently, stuff like that.
I'm just dumb, and I don't know what I'm talking about. Why am I hosting a league?
Because you're the goat.
Oh shit! All right, I'll take it.
Yep. All right,
All
so
right,
let's.
now we get to the fun part.
Oh yeah, I think I really want to do Fields of Punishment, because we have some front runners here. I think
Uh-oh.
TBL, after letting him click the nasty plot, like just this turn is just absurd to me. Like, you're at ×2 Glostrier, and he's like, nah, I'll switch out. Like, even if he doesn't nasty plot, right? There's no way you die there. Even if it's a crit, even if it's a max damage roll, even if Glostrier has no special like defense investment and he's max special attack, I'm pretty sure it's an Oko, and I think. Sorry, there's a I had to ban someone. Cool. There's this guy who joined and tried to advertise. Sorry. Anyways, I think that's a pretty good case for TBL, and also the fact that he just like, what turn was it? Oh yeah, this turn. First of all, Tornadus almost always runs Cover Cloak, but even if he doesn't, right, that could have been an okay play. But here, now you just saw the knockoff on your Power Orb, and you click Meteor Beam. I don't know if you expect to live against another knockoff, but I mean, you're pretty clearly going to get knocked off again here if you don't do anything, which I don't think
Yeah.
He is Terra Fairy. I mean, if you want a Terra Fairy to try and live and click Meteor Beam, I guess I could see maybe that's a lot of investment to try and win that, but you could. But just not doing anything and just clicking Meteor Beam, I think it's just a silly mistake. But it's a little rough. And then like the rest of this game, you like play okay, and like in when you're in this spot, like it should be a free win. Here, like this, you see this, the high horsepower instead of Ice Crash is fine because it's more accurate, and Giga Drain. Just do the same exact play. Trick Room's not up, doesn't matter. Do the same exact play, and then you switch in Scraggy instead. So that feels really silly. I think this whole game just could have gone a lot better. Even though he taunts into Frigoraph, it's just you switch out Ursulina and make him take so much unnecessary damage. Like he goes down to to 28% just from this. And Scraggy gets low, and then like when you're in the spot, you just tie to the E speed, which you could have protected, but still, it's rough. Like not a whole lot of great play on TBL's part, and the icicle crash missing is not his fault, but it's just salt in the wound, really.
You said there was a couple of front runners. Who else?
I thought S&B also he he played very interestingly. Where was? Yeah. So ready? Watch this. Watch this turn one. Tell me what you think. That was a good turn for S&B, right?
Is decent.
Right.
It could have. Yeah, it was
What do you
decent.
think he should do turn two? Right. He's in a pretty good spot. What do you think he should do turn two? He outspeeds everything because he's Dragon Danced. He has Rillaboom who outspeeds Politoed. What do you think he should do?
At this point, I would double down on the Gliscor.
Oh, okay, that's a perfectly valid reason, right? Politoed, maybe you're worried about him clicking something like Earth Power into Zekrom or clicking Weather. I don't know what else you could click. Maybe Ice Beam. I don't know. Maybe you're worried about him and you want to kill him. Then Zekrom uses Dragon move into Gliscor Okos. Even if he doesn't, or you think he's not going to, then Rillaboom doubles, and then you're in a great spot. He did option D, which is switch out Zekrom with a free Dragon Dance.
Fuck?
He gets off an Intimidate, but he makes a free Tailwind. And the Earth Power goes into the Landorus, meaning Zekrom avoided it, but still was not going to do close to an Oko. And then Rillaboom gets a kill, which is still like, if you wanted to kill Politoed so bad, you could have done the same thing, except with a Dragon type attack into Gliscor. And if you don't think he's gonna Tailwind, you think he's gonna use like Earth moves on both Pokemon, Rillaboom still outspeeds Politoed and can Oko. So you could just get off a lot of damage, take a little bit of damage with Zekrom, have him still +1/+1, and be in a great spot. But instead, you're just in a much worse spot. And then he switches here, which is like, okay, you're probably just gonna die, but you want Sinistcha to heal and whatever. Like, okay, right? And then he sends out Zekrom just to switch him out again, just to sack Landorus, which you just preserved by sacking Sinistcha. And like, you pick up the kill there, but like you're now in a spot where it's Zacian and Kingdra versus Zekrom and Rillaboom, and that's not because you already know you die to Ice Beam, and Zacian's good into Zekrom, obviously with Play Rough. And so in this end game, he's just Screwbite is really, really expecting like a Terra. He wants to bait out the Zekrom Terra. He used Behemoth Blade expecting the Terra. He goes for Protect to try and get the Terra, and he just clicks Dragon Claw Terras, which is fine, but like he just goes for another Dragon Claw. It's just not great play. So I know that Spam unfortunately did have his PC crash, but also good call on Wav. The grassy terrain being up means that I think ground type moves do half damage. I'm pretty sure it's half damage, but they do significantly less damage. So I think S&B and TBL both make some questionable plays, and in game 2 he makes kind of similar silly mistakes. He just like takes a lot of damage for no reason. He really wants to kill Politoed for some reason. I don't know why he hates Politoed, but he lets Zacian just be a problem. He doesn't Terra here, even though maybe he was just expecting him to play really cautiously again, but it just really bites him, and Magmar just kind of is able to do nothing, and Zacian's able to destroy. So that's a pretty easy win. Also, not all ground moves. Maybe I was wrong. I thought it just weakened the power of ground moves in general. But yeah. It's just Earthquake. Okay. Either way, that makes it just even more obvious for S&B on this turn to just do anything other than switch out Zekrom. So
sorry.
Oh yeah, hey, what's up? I think after watching SNB and TBL, it's hard to say who deserves Fields of Punishment more. Do you have like a strong belief, Spam?
I think. Oh God, I really feel like I don't have the professional enough opinion to talk on doubles. But I think
This, which do you think is worse,
again,
the Scraggy switch or the Zekrom switch?
well, he TBL was in a winnable position. It's the same
Completely.
thing for it's the same thing for Hoplite. The reason why we gave Voids the Fields of Punishment is because he was in a completely winnable position and you fucked it. So my vote, unfortunately, this week is for TBL.
I think I think SNB probably should deserve like an honorable mention in Fields of
Oh,
Punishment,
for sure.
but this one play alone makes me want to go for TBL just because it's like a 3v1. You have two Pokemon at full health in the back and a ×2 Glacier, and you switch into Scraggy. Like that's I don't know what the thought process was there. And then
Well,
like
it
you make
wasn't even
game two is
it
just a
wasn't
lot of like
even
little
times two
mistakes.
in the switch. Had he not switched, that Spectrier never would have hit times two.
Yeah,
He
I
had
know.
to double down and kill it.
Like this situation, 100 like even once like he protects whatever. You've already shown that this is the correct move, right? You've already done this. He protected whatever, right? It means that you're not faster anymore. But just because you're not faster, doesn't mean that the bulk changes like at all. Like, what is he gonna do? Draining Kiss to get more health back? Like, he's not gonna be able to OHKO anything here
I agree.
at neutral. He's not gonna be able to OHKO anything. And so you're by switching out Glacier, you're telling me that you assume that Calyrex is like the strongest thing in the world at neutral, and like he's incredibly strong. We see how strong he is, but it's a little ridiculous. Um, I think it's just not thinking or not knowing the damage calcs, but you could do them pretty easily. Or just assume that this fairly bulky mon at ×2 attack is able to either OHKO or OHKO with the help of Hydra Apple. And Draining Kiss moves first, so he can't even heal himself at the start of the turn. So even if you think
Yep.
like Draining Kiss can OHKO Hydra Apple if he goes for it or whatever, then Glacier gets an OHKO. And like it's just I don't really get the logic. And I think this position was completely winning. I don't think there's any way to lose this other than what he did. Um, really. So yeah, that's I think unfortunately TBL will be. Forgetting Calyrex Shadow is a ghost type too of just going for this fake out and Terra Fairy play. I don't know what he was doing in these last few turns. So TBL, unfortunately, you are our Fields of Punishment winner slash loser. For week two, SNB, you deserve an honorable mention for. Sorry, this is not him. For just after you're in a great spot turn one. I mean, maybe not a great spot, but you're in a pretty good spot. In this situation, what do? You switch out Zekrom. Like just switching when you're in a great spot is unfortunate. So, um, yeah, that is it's a close runner up, but we're giving it to TBL this week. And for Elysium, we have a handful of options. I'm going to rule myself out of Elysium just because of this terrible, terrible game too. Um, it was really rough. So I played pretty well game one, like generally well game one, even though I forgot that Chen Pao was a dark type. I played pretty well game three, but game two was just terrible. I don't even want to rewatch this one. I already had to make a video on it, and I already had to recap it here. So I just want to be done with this game too. Um, so I'm disqualified from Elysium after that. We have um AMLO dude versus Voids, and I don't think this was a super commanding win for AMLO dude. I think he just played well generally. Dialga was just good here,
Oh,
and then
was he running
Parastrap.
the fucking Paris? Yeah,
Yeah,
hot.
Parastrap is like it gets a lot of like fame for being like the hardest strategy to pull off, and then like Wolfie's the only one who's able to do it like really well in tournaments, right? And I think that's definitely true to an extent. But if you're playing against a team with very little switching out ability, then it's so much easier to pull off, especially when you have like these two mons that are like built for it against like a team
Right.
that is just really not built to counter it. Then it's a much easier trap to pull off. And so I don't think Emily gets it just for being able to pull it off this week. Um, I think Cromp did actually have a pretty good wins both games. I think that could be a pretty possible way out for him. Nick didn't even play too poorly. It was just that Cromp played well. Screwbite played pretty well. But he didn't. I think he was able to benefit partially from SMB's mistakes. So I wouldn't give him the win just for that either. Um, okay, definitely. Trippy also would be a contender for Fields of Punishment. I wouldn't. I'm still gonna give it to TBL, but just the explosion game one, turn one was just really rough, and then just
But
the
it's
play
kind of hard to give them
Dusclops
fields of
throughout.
punishment when they said before week 1, I'm clicking KO moves the entire season.
Yeah, but like Dusclops was ridiculously useless, and you didn't. The explosion wasn't even related to Oko moves. Like if you just click an Oko move like 20 times and they miss every time, that's not Fields of Punishment worthy. You just got unlucky, and you were playing a luck based strategy, and you got punished for that. But running a really bad Dusclops, like they just did nothing, and then Metagross just killing itself for no damage was just really rough. I don't think I think this is another like honorable mention thing, but not TBL takes the cake here, unfortunately for him. Um, Charcoal actually could get, even though he kind of played the Fields of Punishment person, and he put himself in kind of like on this turn, he didn't play great. Like the Sunny Day was really just for Entei, and then you die, and then yeah, you protect and you're able to live that, but you get give him a free boost. Um,
Yeah, I don't think game 1
and
is very Elysium worthy.
and
Game 2 was
tailwinding,
good.
like using tailwind on the turn when he trick rooms is like it's bad. And you just exploit. You found the one way out, yeah, but like you had to count on him playing poorly. So
Right.
I think almost by default it's Cromp. He played pretty well throughout too. If you just like watch, like yeah, he gets out the fake out and calm mind, right? That's okay. But you just do a ton of you punish him for clicking calm mind, and he doesn't get trick room up. So you're able to now outspeed him after this electro web, and pick up the kill on Tropicos, make him no longer a threat at all. And even with trick room up, you built Necrozma to be slow enough to underspeed his whole team. Um, and
Nice.
like
That's good prep. That's
this
really good
protect was
prep.
good too. Yeah. The light screen Regieleki was also great. I know Regieleki has incredibly limited options, so light screen's less of a big deal. But noticing the fact that your opponent has running only special attackers, um, is very smart, and making light screen a priority is good. I thought that game one was slightly closer, as you can see, but he still played well throughout. And like watching how he played Koraidon was great. So you watch Flutterman goes down, right, and Regieleki again. I'm talking about the light screen. He makes light screen a priority. So now you're in a 2v3 with Terapagos at full health and with Pelipper at full health, right? And Rain is up when you're a Sun team. I mean, you do remedy that, but Pelipper's going to be able to come out and fix that. So he protects Koraidon because, Spatial Rend is for sure coming out. And
Yep.
then Necrozma is able to get off quite a bit of damage. Or not, sorry, he doesn't this time. But he knocks off the leftovers, which is not bad, right? And you take almost no damage. Earth Power could have come out and could have bit you, but it doesn't. So that's good. And then he Terra Grasses to avoid the Special Rend
Nice.
Okoing. And then he gets off quite a bit more damage. He does half, right? punishes the Calm Mind tier, and Koraidon's able to. Oh wait, no, he missed a scale shot, but
Oh,
still,
scale shot miss. No.
still, he protects again because he's in Trick Room. He knows he will win this if he stalls Trick Room, and the Spatial Rend is pretty predictable into him. He kills Trapicos before he can move, and he's in a great spot all of a sudden. Even though Pelipper is able to come out and get rid of the sun, right? And you could be in a bad spot. You know you can kill one of these two, right? He is able to protect and live, but still Necrozma is in a winnable spot because he gets off 70% into Pelipper. And then once you die to Hurricane, you're still in a winnable spot because you just target Palkia, who already protected, right? And you outspeed because he's at -1 speed. So you kill Palkia. Pelipper can do nothing with Hurricane, right? And then you kill Pelipper. It was kind of smart maneuvering and play throughout. Um, I don't think, again, Nick, he made it a close game one, but just the way Crump played was that made it so that in that end game, there was no way he lost, especially with light screen up. Like, it's just really hard for him to lose that. Maybe impossible. And game two, he played smart throughout. I think I would 100% be fine with giving Cromp the Elysium here.
Hell yeah, sounds good to me.
So, congrats to Crump for Elysium. Congrats to SNB and Trippy for avoiding Fields of Punishment narrowly. And
Narrowly.
congrats to Chark11 for killing Scraggy. Um, but yeah, let's now move over to our standings. If we move here, we should be able to see the standings and see kind of where we are at. We have very balanced, actually. We have four 2-0 teams, 4 0-2 teams, and 6 1-1 teams. So really still anyone's game. Even with these 0-2 teams, like you can see these the -4 differentials, like the worst it could be, right? At this point. But the kill differentials aren't like abhorrent, and just because you have like a bad start to a season doesn't mean you like okay and Amlodude are kind of in the opposite situation, and me and Charcoal, like we're all in a pretty good situation to start, but we could easily lose 2 weeks and be back to neutral and back in the middle of the pack. Or right now we're in a situation where if I lose and Screwbite or Cromp wins, then they could easily pass me in standings, and so security at week 2 is like non-existent. It's a nice cushion to have being at the top, but still, it's nowhere close to guaranteed. Um, I think we've seen a lot of mixed performances from some people. I think it's just me. He did beat Bosi. I would like to see how he won that, especially after his week 1 loss being pretty rough. Seeing him win is quite nice. SNB and Eternum and Voids as well, actually, all having pretty commanding wins week 1. Or pretty they showed themselves to be great players week 1. All lost, which was a surprise, but it showed like how balanced the team is. Even if you look great one week, you could look bad another week. Or I looked great game 3, but looked terrible game 2. Like I think the teams are so close that it's hard to say who's good and who's bad. So despite the standings looking how they do now, or looking like there's some people towards the top and some towards the bottom, I think it's going to balance out a lot more. And you see, we have 6-1-1 people. All the differentials are pretty close, or like this is not extreme whatsoever. Um, as time goes on, I don't think all of us will stay undefeated for sure. Um, I think we're gonna start seeing.
It never happens.
Yeah, we're gonna start seeing some losses and start seeing some wins down here too. If Fisher connects 3 times in a row, I mean that's game over. So,
It's true.
well,
I mean, shit. Hoplite season 1, we had Stoyan go undefeated until week 8, and his opponent was somebody who had been nothing but defeated, and the underdog won.
I remember that actually. That was really funny.
It was awesome.
We also had um to saline syrup in Phalanx season 1, go undefeated except for the last 2 weeks, which I'm pretty sure they lost both of them. And Wa
Sure.
was undefeated for a while and then lost like week 6. And whenever a team is towards the top all season and starts like having shakier wins or like starts losing, it kind of foreshadows playoffs. In every instance like that, they've ended up going out in one of the early rounds of playoffs. Same with Stoin.
Yeah,
And
he lost to SMB.
the first round, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and Saline lost first round, and I think Wall lost second round to me. If I played him. But either way, um, we uh we can't really be us four at the towards the top can't be too comfortable. And if you're towards the bottom, I think a comeback is definitely possible. I think people like Nick showed a lot of strength in both of his losses. He showed that he wasn't a bad player. He just played a little predictably at times, so I could easily see him moving towards at least neutral. It's just me proving that he can win. Against Bosi is impressive. Bosi was someone who was not expected to do well in playoffs at all season 1, and he was like, well, I think the bottom seed going in, maybe.
Yep.
But he
Couldn't be
made it
worse.
all the way to the championship, so he proved that he's a great player as well. I think there's a lot of room for growth for sure. So, um, I think that yeah, I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. Week 2 was great. I'm sure week 3 will be even better. Yeah, do you have any final comments, Spam?
No, sir. I think you pretty much covered it.
Cool.
Oh, do you go over kill rankings in your stream?
Oh, I do. Um, Forgot to, but thank you for reminding me. Um, if we look at the top here, we can see two names by Blizzard. No, but we see like Cromp having Walking Awake and Necrozma. Walking Awake being extremely dominant week 1. Didn't even bring him week 2. He was on the team, yeah, but he was never brought to the match. And
Yeah, that
Necrozma,
Dialga is going crazy.
yeah, Dialga had a very dominant week 2. I think he got like a ridiculous number of kills. I don't remember how many. He got like 6 or something, or 5. Um, and okay with Conkeldurr, the same thing of Conkeldurr just being extremely dominant the second week, while Lunala was very dominant week 1. Interesting seeing how some people like OK and Cromp are able to like have one Pokemon be very dominant 1 week and then do almost nothing week 2, uh, and then have another Mon shine and be extremely good. That shows that your team is very scary. If you're able to have two different Mons dominate in completely different ways across different weeks, that's not something that's fun to face. Charcoal having
No.
great Tusk and Calyrex be extremely strong is also impressive. And yeah, I think Cromp having 3 in the top 15 is scary. And you can see kind of the diversity. Like almost everybody is in this top 15. If not, then everybody's, I think, and everyone's in the top 21 at least, or top 22. Um, so we can see how even if the records aren't as close, the Pokemon are. So yeah,
Yeah.
lots of mons to be scared of, and it's gonna be fun. Week 3. All right,
Gonna be exciting.
and that's about it for the stream. So hope you guys enjoyed, and see you guys week 3.
Catch you next.